Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday evening live stream. So a lot of things to go over. Let's just jump right into it. So today, just talking about banks, specifically JP Morgan, and of course, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon. Now, if you're not aware of who this gentleman is, he has been a strict opponent of crypto and digital assets, going so far as to say that Bitcoin will go to zero and that all digital assets are essentially a Ponzi scheme and the worthless thing of all time. And it's just amazing how things shift. And I'm not here to blame anybody or talk negatively about anyone. Jamie Dimon is Jamie Dimon, and he has his own agendas about what's going on. And the question I have for you, we're going to pose today, is are banks opportunistic? I know that sounds funny just saying it, but just stick with me. So today, well, actually, a couple of days ago, I should say. Actually, it was yesterday. Excuse me. There was an article that came out that said that JP Morgan, again, Jamie Dimon, they're going to offer Bitcoin and Ethereum collateralized loans in 2026, signaling an institutional shift. Again, it's quite odd because the CEO has one direction. He's just said very publicly how negatively he views Bitcoin and crypto, and here they are going into it. So I just think, I could be wrong here, that banks are banks and they're just here for the almighty dollar. I don't know if you agree with me on that one, but it seems pretty plausible and reasonable. But it is a good sign because when the banks come out and say, look, we're going to give loans, that just signals to all the normies like, hey, look, this is not just funding for terrorists. It's just not funding for the cartels. It actually has a place in society. We deem it as valuable and we're going to give loans. That's the only thing I really care about with that one. And not because I want, for the normies to understand it. It's just because when you have this message going out, then you don't have such a negativity around the space and people can come in and discover it in a safe area and not feel like they're going to get ripped off. So that's just one part of it. But then there was this piece today from the Winklevoss twins. And it didn't make sense to me until I read the whole thing and kind of said, oh, that's what it is. They're just opportunistic. JP Morgan is accused of silencing crypto advocates with hidden debanking tactics. Now, make no mistake, Jamie Dimon was a part of Operation Choke Point 2.0, essentially limiting the ability of digital asset spaces and institutions and actual companies that are in the space to reach out to retail and do the things they're supposed to do. They essentially choked them out and cut them off. Now, even though they're offering these loans, they're doing something shady behind the scenes. And I'm just going to say, I don't think it's that shady. I think it's just that they're here for the almighty dollar. So this is what it's from. So Tyler Winklevoss went on X and he says, look, this week JP Morgan told us that because of it, we'll get to the it, they were pausing their re-onboarding of Gemini as a customer after they off-boarded us during Operation Choke Point 2.0. Essentially, they said, get lost. We're not going to allow you to do any banking on JP Morgan because you're in cryptos and digital assets. Now, I don't know about you. Me personally, I've had my own bank say, if you do anything with crypto, you need to find another bank. So I found another bank. And that's just par for the course. But this is odd because JP Morgan, again, giving out loans. But this is the big thing. This is what Winklevoss says. And I think I understand it's because this cuts into his business. And it might cut into anything. He states, they want us to stay silent while they quietly try to take away your right to access your banking data for free through third-party fintechs like Plaid. Now it's starting to make sense. So Winklevoss accused JP Morgan and other institutions of attempting to impose steep fees on fintech platforms that facilitate access to banking data. These platforms allow users to link bank accounts with crypto exchanges, key step of funding purchases of Bitcoin, other digital assets. JP Morgan, the banksters, again, this is from Winklevoss, are trying to kill fintech and crypto companies. They want to take away your right to access your banking data for free via third-party apps and instead charge you in fintechs exorbitant fees to access your data. Here's what it comes down to. Winklevoss is ticked off because, Plaid, when you actually go and sign up for a centralized exchange to buy crypto and link your bank, Well, you use Plaid for free. Essentially, it says, you have a bank? Great. We want to actually debit your account. You want to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and Fartcoin and whatever else? Fantastic. So we're going to link to that, and we're going to set that up for you. And it's just a couple of API integrations. That's what Plaid does. And now what the banks are doing, JP Morgan going, oh, wait, if you use Plaid, guess what? We're going to charge you. And depending on who you believe, I haven't seen the fees rate right now, but Winklevoss is coming in and saying, this is the worst thing of all time. It's not. He's saying, look, they're going to charge us, which means we could actually charge you because things roll downhill, or they're going to eat the cost and they're making the big deal out of potentially nothing. We'll see how bad those rates actually are. But to me, it just comes out of this. Banks want money. And if they see an opportunity to charge something, they're going to do it. And it's the same thing with them coming in and saying, oh, you like us to custody your crypto? Absolutely. But guess what? We're going to charge you 0.25% or 0.5% or whatever it actually is because we're a bank. That's what we do. This is just business. And of course, you're going to hear different opinions on it. I'm just telling you, this is what's going to happen. Me personally, I have no problem with this if it's a reasonable fee. Now, if it comes down to like 10, 20, 30%, obviously. But guess what? That's the free market. If you don't like JP Morgan, you have to go someplace else. Unfortunately, a lot of people do use JP Morgan Chase Bank. And if they use Chase Bank and they try to interact with Plaid on a centralized exchange, they're not going to be able to. They're going to have to go to their exchange. Does that make sense? So this could be a big story or not. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section. That's just what's going on in the, I guess it would be the macroverse. But dominance. Now let's talk about the good stuff. So dominance, as we've been following, friend of the show, Ben Cowan, also follows us a little bit. Dominance has been a little bit seesaw. I think we're at just above 60% right now. And I found it's interesting because as Bitcoin dominance has been going down, there's been a reduction in the amount of the ETF buying. Now remember, this ETFs, this is supposed to be held one-to-one. This is not paper Bitcoin. And of course, the largest ones that are buying is BlackRock. But you can see that over like the course of last week, 21 July, 22 July, BlackRock didn't buy anything. And again, these are the customers of BlackRock, which I kind of find this almost hard to believe too, because you're telling me that all their customers bought $500 million on the 18th of July, then the 17th of July, then the 16th of July, they bought $750 million, and then 21st and 22nd, they just bought zero, all clients. Okay. Then 23rd of July, they picked up 142, which is kind of paltry and a little bit anemic, in my opinion. And then a little measly 32 and 98. And we can see, oh, this actually looks pretty good. The Bitcoin ET flow has been doing pretty good, quite honestly. But this is the Bitcoin ETF flow. Look at this. Here's Ethereum. And again, those days where they went from 0 to 0. Now look at the Ethereum flow for BlackRock. It's like their advisors, their investment advisors. Maybe they just get parsed with the message, like somebody from up top goes, okay, tell the customers to stop buying so much Bitcoin. Let's start getting into Ethereum. Because look, 17th of July, 16th of July, 500 million, $500 million, almost $500 million, 102 million. 22nd and 23rd of July, 426, 324, 24th is 0, which is kind of odd. Then 25th of July, almost $500 million, again, of Ethereum. And you can just see that here looks a little bit different, and off it goes. So when I take a look at this, I'm thinking to myself, how much are they actually buying? Looks like a ton. And what does that look like? Now, we all know the Bitcoin dominance, but what has anybody ever talked about Ethereum dominance? Good question, right? I mean, if there's Bitcoin dominance being the dominant amount of the total market cap, which is almost at $4 trillion now. What about Ethereum? How has that looked over time? Did you know this? That we've actually, let me blow this up, that there is an Ethereum dominance, and it cratered to 6.96%, and now we're all the way up to, we're doubled almost, 11.65. Now, could this go to 20 or 30%? That sounds ridiculous. It's not. It's happened before. As a matter of fact, we hit almost 30% in 14th of June, 2017. Did you know that? Isn't that crazy? 30% of the market cap, Ethereum. Then look at this. And not to be outdone, and this is why I think everybody should sign up for Ben's website. A lot of the stuff, or some stuff is free, some stuff is paid, just depends. Link in the description, you can check that out. But look at this. Here's XRP dominance. XRP dominance. That sounds funny right now. But I shouldn't laugh because, you know, the XRP army was crushing it. It's I mean, it was, this is the Gary Gensler dark ages, 1%. Although it's still in the top 10. And now look at it today. It's actually outperformed Ethereum as far as dominance goes, almost 5%. It's a 5x. So look, I just found it was interesting that things are shifting away. Does this mean we're in altcoin season? I don't think that's the case for altcoin season. That's when everything goes up. I think there is a select amount of different altcoins that will do well. And there's a bunch that are just going to suck because they don't do anything. And the narrative is just trash. So just plan accordingly, whatever it is for you. Now, I personally have a ton of altcoins. I don't expect all of them to make it, but I'm not here for them all to make it. I just need a couple to do really well, and I'll be very happy. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. To finish up, I just want to share this. This was a post from Charles Guillemet, I think CTO, Chief Technical. Oh, I talked to Charles. He's been on the show once. Chief Technical Officer at Ledger. He says, how on earth is it a good idea to dump 80,000 Bitcoin? This was, I think, yesterday. On the spot market. Why not use an OTC deal or break it up into several smaller trades? The slippage alone cost 200 million, which I thought this was an OTC deal. And apparently it was. Udi from Bitcoin Wizard says it was an OTC deal. And it was broken into smaller trades. 80,000 is huge. The OTC desk probably couldn't source liquidity for the entire book, so they sparse it around for different exchanges. Makes sense, right? I don't really care so much about this and the minutia of it. I just thought it was interesting that you sell 80,000 Bitcoin and we still held a pretty reasonable level of around 115, 116,000, and nothing dropped like what it would. If this would have happened in 2022, we would have seen a Bitcoin of around 12,000, 11,000. Even though it was around 17,000 or so, because that would have really spooked the market. But it held up surprisingly well. I think that's another positive sign for the normies, so I like that. And then also, just real quick, there was a piece, Sharplane Gaming, and this is the whole Bitcoin Ethereum thing. Sharplane Gaming transferred 145 million to Galaxy Digital OTC wallets to buy more Ethereum. So again, we have Bitcoin as far as a treasury asset for institutions, for companies. And SharpLink is giving Fundstrat a run for its money. I think Fundstrat with Tom Lee has over $1 billion now. But they're buying Ethereum like crazy. I found it interesting. This is to Galaxy Digital. When Mike Novogratz just yesterday was also on CNBC and says, hey, you know what I think is going to do pretty well? Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin. And you know what? He might be right. And we'll see what happens with that. But lastly, I want to just play something for you about this. I do like this account, the Bitcoin historian, Pete Rizzo. Always does good stuff. I want you to listen to this. It's about 28 seconds or so. And I think it's going to be a lot of people these days when they realize, hey, maybe I shouldn't have sold that. Listen to this. It's pretty good, about 28 seconds.
And speaking of Bitcoin, Tesla disclosing in its earnings this week that its digital asset holdings are currently worth about $1.25 billion. That's up sharply from a year ago. A new piece on CNBC.com looks at the money they left on the table, though, after they sold 3/4 of their holdings in 22. You can check out the full story on CNBC.com. I did peek at that, and I think if they had held everything, it wouldn't be $1.25 billion. It'd be worth about $5 billion.
Ooh, they could use that.
Yes.
They could use that. So that's it for today. So look, I didn't know that the Tesla actually did that. That's it for this piece. So if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. We talk about is time sensitive. Now we'll do a little Q&A, and this is where we have some fun times. And I'll answer all your questions best of my abilities, and we'll go from there. So what are everybody's questions? And I didn't want to bring this up, Frank the Tank, but this is the same guy who was Crazy Luna. Yes. Mike Novogratz. And I have to say, I didn't want to bring it up, but everybody brings up my fault, so why not? No, I like Mike. He seems to be like a reasonable guy. He's been in the digital asset space for a long time. He's really a believer in what's happening, and let's be honest, he's made a boatload of money. But yes, he is the holder of the sweet Terra Luna tattoo, which I think will haunt him forever. If I was Mike and I had, I don't know, a couple $1 billion just laying around, I'm sure he could do something with that tattoo to either get it removed or covered up or something. Who knows? But yeah, let's see what else we got. My son-in-law at Columbia said Bitcoin is bad. Yeah, I get that too. Number go up. That's the whole point. And that's another thing about, the banks. It would be very hypocritical of me to say, oh, these guys are just in it for the money. I like Bitcoin and everything, and I like crypto, and I like digital assets, like what they're doing. But I will be honest with you. When we have this next bull run coming, I'm dumping, I would say about at least 80% of all my alts, if not 100%, all of them. And that's it. Now, Bitcoin's a different piece. I really believe it to be true. And it could be, the next reserve asset, next world reserve asset. And, we'll see what happens on the end of this month as the current administration rolls out their new report for how they're going to handle digital assets, and if and when and how much they're going to do for a strategic reserve. And if I see that and there's a really concrete plan to start adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet of the United States, it'd be very hard to sell any Bitcoin at that point. So we'll see. I just want to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and lambast JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon for going, oh, those guys are so opportunists. Aren't we all opportunists? Is it just me? I don't know. ETH pumps sold to Mars. Well, let's take a look. Actually, there's this great one. Does it bleed? Which is a good chart. Let's see. Bleed. Ben knows I can't find this stuff, so he makes it searchable for me. That's nice. Anyhow, so the standard here is Bitcoin versus Ethereum, and does it bleed? So Bitcoin versus Ethereum, actually, you can look at this stuff. I just don't. You come over here, and the last, let's see, over 4 years, you're down 44% if you just would have bought Bitcoin. 3 years, you're down 56, 2 years, 50, 1 year, 33. However, if you would have invested into Ethereum 6 months ago, you're up 5%. 3 months ago, you're up 66%, and 1 month, you're up 40%. Now, 1 week and 1 day, not so great. But it's looking pretty good for Ethereum, quite honestly. Now, what about XRP? Really good, actually. I must admit, on this one, it's looking pretty good. But the amount that you had to hold this for was quite shocking. If it was like, if you got back at 6 years, it's negative 17, 5 years, 27, up. Over 6 months and 3 months and 1 month, you're actually pretty good. So XRP, I tip my hat to you guys. You guys really deserve it. That's great. And then Solana, not the greatest. Quite honestly, you're down, if it's over a year, you're down 42%. You should have just bought Bitcoin. Over 2 years, you're up 85. 3 months, 0.88. That's not, I'm not getting out of bed for 0.88%. Come on. 1 month, 11%. 1 week, you're down 6%. So yeah. And then of course, people who love Solana, like I hold a bunch of Solana, so I like it. But the people who love Solana, like, but it's awesome and it's going to take over the world. And I'm like, yeah, I hope you're right, because that's my bags too. But who knows? LAX guy says it right. Germany sold their Bitcoin at $50,000, so they missed out. Could have doubled their money, but I give it, Germany, what are you going to do? Hey, Rob, how much ADA goes up and down during August? I think Ben has a table graph of Bitcoin Olga Protsev during different months. I believe he does. I think this is under the monthly returns. And what it looks like is this. You just, again, if you want to check out Ben's website, you get 10% off first month, links in the description. But this is looking at Bitcoin. And just as a reminder, September, as you can see this, which is coming up, right? We got August, then September. September, historically speaking, is the worst month, not just for crypto, but also for traditional markets, NASDAQ, S&P 500. It's just sucks. So, and you can see here, most of the months are pretty awful. Look at this one, negative 40%, negative 10 for 27. Wow, 2017, it was negative 10%. Really? Wow, didn't know that. 2019, negative 14%, negative 10. Now, the last 2 years have been pretty good, 2024, 23, but maybe we're due. So, yeah, maybe. But remember, October, November, fantastic months. Historically speaking, October is one of the best. One of the best. Out of the 14 years, you're looking at 4 that are down, but magnificent returns usually. So you're asked about Cardano, right? So let's see. Cardano, well, there's September, sucks. And quite honestly, I hate to break this to you, but for Cardano, historically speaking, has been sucking many months. That's just how it is. And they're not even close to their all-time high. The all-time high for Cardano was around $2.96. Correct me in the comment section. You're not even sniffing that. That's like, I think it's at 84 cents right now. So, I mean, I want it to go up. Trust me, I got a big, fat, huge, wonky bag of that stuff. I think it's going to do well, but historically speaking, you don't have many months. What's just the best month? Let's see. November. Let's see. Yeah, November's the best month, 85.3% plus or minus 164%. But it's in the green. So yeah, November's looking pretty good. October, maybe not. Maybe you got to hold on one more month. Get to November. So good question. Had to look that up. Alrighty. What's up with hypercycle lately? I don't know. I got to ask Jerry. Jerry's working on a side project with hypercycle, so not for sure. Unfortunately, tomorrow, this is a bummer. Jerry won't be able to be here tomorrow on Sundays, which sucks. Jerry's got to go. He's doing a bus ride someplace in Costa Rica. I think family, which is a pretty great excuse to get out of a Sunday show with me. I know. Maybe I'll get somebody else. But no one can replace Jerry. Days with Wade. Hey Rob, when you sell 80% of your crypto, are you selling any Bitcoin or is 80% of alts? Like I said, let's take a look at that report. And let's take a look at what this current administration really wants to do with Bitcoin. Is it going to be a real strategic reserve? Are they going to, at some point, add to that? I know they talked about we don't want to use taxpayer money, but there's other ways to do that. Tariffs also could be one of them. Buxton says late. It is very late. I had a busy day today. Now I'm here. When does the alt season start? Like I said, I think alt season, I think it's a select alts. And some people will say, no, just get a bunch of stuff. It might pay off pretty well, actually. But for me personally, I'm just sticking with, and you know my thesis. My thesis is payments are the big story. So the chains that the stable coins are built on, go into those. And then some, the darlings of the cycle. It's either going to be Hyperliquid or SWE. And I actually asked this question, how do you pronounce SWE? And apparently, the way that the SWE Foundation pronounces it is not SUI, like you're calling a pig. It's SWE. Huh. So that's that. Anyhow. Frank saying, you are smart, Rob, sell most of them all. This is my third cycle, and is anybody really using an altcoin that they absolutely need to have, right? And then some people say, well, do I absolutely need to have Bitcoin? Yes. Yes, I think you do. I mean, look, it is a massive hedge against inflation. And if you want to transfer, here's another thing. I'm using custody services with iTRUST. And when I went to move some funds around, it's of course in crypto, I can't tell you how much I moved over there. It's a sizable portion, but I can just tell you this. Anything over $10,000 from your bank, you're going to get a call. They're going to stop it, which I got to tell you, sometimes might actually be a pretty good idea because of frauds and people getting scammed out. And you can move it instantaneously, well, within 10 minutes. And the fee is like next to nothing. So I look at that, I look against the hedge against inflation, and I just look about just the preservation of wealth. If I would have stuck that money in my bank account since 2017 and not bought Bitcoin, my purchasing power went down dramatically. So for me, Bitcoin is like a must. The other stuff, I don't need it. I don't need it to do anything. I don't need it to go through my life. I don't need it. The only thing that really happens with altcoins, tell me if I'm wrong here, numbers going up. That's it. So I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. That's just how it is. What are your thoughts on people calling for a super cycle? Keith, if you don't know who Keith is, first of all, Keith's got a great channel. Keith, I was talking, I think this is the same Keith because I can see the glasses. And he's got this great channel, and he talked about, because me and Keith are in the same position here, because we've been on, this is our third cycle. And he told, on that video, he said the same thing. He's like, I round trip my bags, I got too pumped up, I didn't have a plan. If I didn't put a plan in place, or even though I did have a plan the next time, I didn't execute it well. Great video. Keith, I talked about your video, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. Great stuff. That one, and then also talking about bonds. Let's see if I can find your channel. So anyhow, what was the question? Oh, wait, thoughts people calling for a super cycle. I think that they are very, very boisterous and very presumptive about what's happening. And again, really what it comes down to is this. Do we really need the things that would lead to a super cycle? I know Michael Saylor said, there's no more winners for Bitcoin. It'll just go up just a little bit and not too much. And, or it'll go down, but like maybe 20 or 30%, not the 70 to 80, 90% drawdowns, perhaps. But I can tell you the rest of the stuff are going to go down. I can't guarantee anything, but if I had to guesstimate, I would say a 90% plus chance we'll still see a cycle for altcoins. Bitcoin, no one knows. Anyhow, this is Keith's channel. And it was this video. That wasn't it. That's a good one. Oh, this is a good one. If you don't understand bonds, you don't understand money. I like that one. Then, this one right here. You guys got to watch this one. Keith D. This is my third crypto bull run. Don't make these 3 mistakes. That's a must watch. Because if you're here for your first, maybe this is your second, most of you here, it's probably your second. You need to watch that video. Because man, if you keep screwing up and you keep round tripping your bags, what are you even here for? You know? You want to retire your bloodline? You can't do that by just round tripping and saying it's going to go forever and diamond hands, bro. Yeah, watch that video. Anyhow, Keith, good to have you. All right. Dog Night, 26th night, dog. Josephine, nice. Sui, no. ETH to 20K. Well, Muhammad's got a good point. Maybe it does. Franklin, thanks. You done DCAing? You know what's funny? I'm still DCAing, and I really should stop with the Bitcoin. I'm not Michael Saylor. I can't keep buying the top, but I am DCAing Ethereum right now. I am DCAing Solana. I am DCAing Cardano. I am DCAing Sui and Hyperliquid, and I bought recently a little bit of XRP. I know. Don't sue me. Mr. says, sold to 1K realistic in this bull cycle? Yes. Gary Gensler should go to jail. Gas fee fees always has good takes. Gary Gensler should go to jail for what he did to XRP holders. Well, I don't know about that. Look on the bright side. If you're an XRP holder, you had 3 years to accumulate. I mean, that's not a bad thing if you really believe into it. And the ones that did believe into it, they are doing really great right now. I wasn't one of them. Attorney Michael, the best crypto channel ever. That is debatable, but I will take that. Good to see you here, Michael. Great alpha. Yeah. Did you hear that they're trying to replicate gold in the Hadron Collider? Wonder what we'll do to crypto. We don't want to see gold as a store of value. Now, is this where are they rearranging molecules to actually create gold in a vacuum? If that's the case, very interesting. But there's all these other types of stories. There's that one. There's an asteroid that has $10 bajillion worth of gold, if we could just get to it. I own gold and I own silver in my retirement account with iTRUST. And I think it could do well. Now, the whole part about, because it's not finite. Gold isn't finite. Bitcoin is finite. Gold is scarce, even though I don't think it's really that scarce, because if you really want to get more gold, you just get more plants, you get more people, you get more excavation units, and you just start digging up gold as best and as fast as you can. So I don't think it's really that scarce. I think they move it down. Regardless, if they do something like that, it'll probably reduce the scarcity, but I think gold is safe. I would say gold is a safer bet than Fartcoin. We'll just go there. Paul's got a good point. If JP Morgan offers Bitcoin loans, that would be very attractive. I never had a problem with them. I'd rather not sell my Bitcoin. And this is how the rich get richer, right? They just take loans against their assets. If Jeff Bezos does it. I think Michael Saylor does it. I think Elon Musk does it. But they also sell their stock as well. Mark Zuckerberg does the same thing, but he just sold a bunch of stock in Meta. And like I just said, Bezos, he does the same thing, but yet he still sells his stock in Amazon. But it would be nice to have some kind of cash flow. That is the one big thing about Bitcoin that is kind of, it's the off-putting part about there's no cash flow to it. I don't have a billion-dollar company like Michael Saylor. I can't gain yield off of it like that. But that's why we own properties, because there is a cash flow part of that. But Paul's right. If you could get a loan against your Bitcoin, and what would be great is, and they can't reevaluate that loan on a daily basis. Now that would be something, because wouldn't it be great to go in there and go, okay, Bitcoin's 120,000. What do you want? You want 60,000? Okay, give us one Bitcoin. That's it. If the value shoots down to like 80, 70, or whatever else it is, we're not going to margin call you, just like they wouldn't margin call you for a mortgage on your house. That'd be the easiest way to do things. Now, could they do that? See, because then you have to think about, well, that's a lot of risk for the banks to take, because what if it goes down to 80, 70,000 and you're just like, well, I'm not going to pay it. And then you just don't pay it. So what do they have? They have Bitcoin worth 60 or 70,000. If they were smart, of course, they could hang on to it, but banks, they want that money now because a lot of things I'm not for sure on that one. It would be great, though, to have that. Office says, hey, Rob, do you think Bitcoin ruins the ordinals ecosystem? We narrative before the cycle ends. Dog for me. That's another one that I own. Dog. Seems like I own everything just about. Dog is a ruin on Bitcoin, and it's went live on one of the large centralized exchanges over in Kraken. Let's hope it does well. I mean, I think it's that one. It's Pudgy Penguins. There's another one that's the top three, along with Dog. I forgot, but I hope so. I'm not for sure. They do have a great community though. Josephine June, attorney, says I bought around 120,000 of IBIT. It dipped last week around 40K of YBIT in my SIP. I'm on a cruise control. Easy. The guy with the least worries at the end of the day is the winner. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. Beautiful house. Great. I've had this for like 23 years. Not a bad place to be. And Mullet, who knows the truth, said that's just the pool house. He lives in a double wide. What would be even better is if you said it's just a green screen and he lives in a single trailer. Let's see. Rob. Yeah, Rob, are you familiar with Proppy, aka Pro? I think this is the one where they're doing real estate transactions with Bitcoin. I'm familiar with the company. Proppy, I think that's the same one. I think they're based out of California, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard of them, just haven't really done too much into it. I'm here to tell you that I will not be taking any loans on any digital assets. I have PTSD from the Celsius days. So I will let all you brave warriors go out in front of me to show me what works and what doesn't. And then 3 years from that, I will maybe take a loan. Yeah. Abolish the Fed. Do you have something in meme coins? Not much. I take advice from my friend Bobby, who's a degenerate gambler, and he just pretty much says, like, hey, once it doubles, just sell half. And then if it doubles again, sell that half. And if it doubles again, sell that half until it can't double anymore. And then just let it rot because it's worthless trash anyhow. That's pretty much what he says. Yeah, Keith. Congratulations on the channel. You know, Keith's channel is only like 31,000 subs. I think he should have more subs. But it shows you that a small channel doesn't matter. You can still get a lot of people to watch if you put out good content. Shaolin says, Rob needs to update his price prediction, saying Bitcoin 5 to 500,000 unrealistic. Updated to. Okay. So my price prediction for 2025 is Bitcoin will be somewhere between $250 and $750,000. Somewhere in that range. Still undefeated. Let's see. I would love your best of all time. Trump and Thomas out of Tesla. Yeah. And for all the jokes and for all the funniness that we have, let's end it with here. John says, unfortunately, I couldn't claim my coin from Celsius. Remember, everybody, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. Try to be as smart as you possibly can. Follow the rules. And the rules that we have out there are very simple. Right under Keith's face right here. Rules, number one, it's all gone. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Number two, everything is a scam until proven otherwise. Everything I just told you today is a scam. Do your own research and verify it. Maybe I was lying through my teeth. Who knows? Don't leave things on exchanges. I think we learned that from the Voyager, Celsius, BlockFi, FTX scandals. Don't use leverage and take profits because nobody ever went broke taking profits. And the second one, where it says 100% scams, that's the one that'll get you. It's not about you didn't take enough profits. It's not about, you use a little leverage here and there. What's going to get you, I think, is scams. And I've already had many, many people reach out to me who have lost their entire life savings in a moment of weakness. So always go to the source, which, do me a favor, links in the description for the 10 crypto critical videos. The one where I say there's one thing you have to do to avoid all scams, go to the source, just watch that video. I think it's number 9. That's it for tonight. It's hot. I got to get out of here. Got my grandkids here. Going to go and do some fun stuff tonight. That's it for today. Like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. I will see you guys tomorrow without Jerry, but we'll see you on Sunday. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. Adios.